What's up everyone, welcome back to Seiya Awakening. We're back for a new character review, and this time we're gonna have the pleasure of reviewing the first unit from Lost Canvas to be introduced into the game. It's gonna be PISCES ALBAFICA, who also happens to be one of the most beloved characters from that spin-off. We finally have him available in the game, so we're gonna check out his skills, team combinations, Cosmo equipment, and also possible weaknesses. At the end of the video, I'll give you a brief opinion on whether I think he's worth summoning right now or not. Let's start off with his skills as usual, and the first thing we have to understand about Albafica is that he's not a straight-up attacker like his cousin Aphrodite. No, this is more of a support unit that is kind of designed to stretch fights and make it harder for the enemy to kill your team. The first skill is called the Piranha Rose, and it's one of the few basic attacks in the game that actually does AoE damage, kinda like Ophiuchus does. It's extremely useful because it's a way to apply the effects of Legendary Cosmo in an AoE fashion without having to spend energy. On top of that, this basic skill will also apply a brand new status in the game, which is called the Demon Rose Poison. The effects of these new status are going to be found over here under the third skill. That new poison is going to reduce the total damage that the enemy does, and it's also going to decrease the amount of healing that they can do. This thing can stack up to 5 times, and it is not cleansable. It also stays in the battlefield even if Albafica dies. With skill ups on the first skill, we're going to increase the damage of the AoE, which is not really very important, but once we reach level 4 and level 5, we're also going to increase Albafica's physical attack every time he uses the basic. This can be pretty strong, but it's not an absolute priority. As you can see, I've stopped here at level 3 because his function is not really a straight up attacker. Now, before looking at the second skill, I'm gonna go over to number 3 because it has everything to do with stacking these new poisons, because Albafica can do it in 3 different ways. We already saw that he can apply 1 stack here with the basic. He's also going to apply 1 stack automatically at the start of the fight. This is before anybody even moves. There's gonna be a field of roses on the battlefield and everybody's gonna get 1 stack. The third way is after every enemy action. Every time they move, they're going to acquire 1 more stack. Well, obviously there's a probability, but we're gonna take this to level 5, so it's gonna be guaranteed. This means that in just 1 round we can stack 3. 1 automatically at the start, 1 after the enemy moves, and then 1 with our basic. Pretty simple so far. Lots of stacks of poison, and there's also something very interesting here in the second skill that happens when we reach that maximum of 5 stacks. Once an enemy gets to that point where they have the 5 stacks already on them, after they move, those stacks are going to transform into bleed. 5 stacks of bleed. As we know, bleed in this game has the effect of doing passive damage, and the damage is huge. This is why it's important to stack them as soon as possible, and you're gonna see him used a lot with double turn like Hashun. Another effect of this passive, because this guy actually has 3 passives, is that anybody that attacks him that has poison on them is gonna have reduced damage against Albafica only. It's not reduced damage against our whole team. That happens with the effects of the poison, but this passive further reduces the damage that Albafica takes. Now, after the poison becomes bleed, all of the stacks that we already had applied of poison are gonna be reset. We go back to 0, but we can prevent that by upgrading this skill a little bit, because on skill level 4, we save 1 stack of Demon Rose, and on skill level 5, we keep 2. That means we're gonna transform into 5 bleeds, but still keep 2 of those stacks of poison. Lastly, we have a third passive called the Bloody Rose, and this thing has a bunch of different effects, so let's take them step by step. The first one is that it's going to save Albafica from death once. At the moment where he receives a fatal blow, instead of dying, he's just gonna come back to life. How much HP he comes back to life with is going to depend on the skill level, right? Because it starts at only 20%. On skill level 5, it goes up to 60%, but he can recover additional HP based on the number of poisons that are on the enemy team. That's because at the moment of death, he's going to burn all the poisons. This is going to let him recover HP, and it's also going to let him do damage with the second effect. When he gets that fatal blow and he comes back to life, he's going to do kind of a final attack. It's not final because he's coming back, but he's going to shoot off a rose that does a little bit of damage and gets additional multipliers based on the number of poisons. So having lots of those poisons is going to let us come back with more HP, and it's going to let us do more damage with that final rose. If he happens to heal himself to 100% with the poison, any healing that's left over is going to become a shield, making him even harder to kill the second time. And that's really it. He is not the most complicated unit to be released in a long while, and it's also not that complicated to figure out what skill levels we need on him. Everything that he does depends on probability, and we know from experience that anything that doesn't have 100% is going to fail. That means that a good, reliable Albafica is going to start at 19 tomes. We're going to have to take the first skill to level 3 to get a 100% chance of applying 1 stack of poison. We're going to need the second skill on level 4, again, to have a 100% chance. Skill 3 is going to go to level 5 for 100% again, and the only one that's kind of optional is going to be the 4th skill. This one for a basic Albafica we can leave at 1. If we manage to apply a lot of stacks of poison, then that additional healing is going to heal us to 100, even though the ability only heals 20. That basic Albafica then would be skill levels 3, 4, 5, 1, 19 tomes. If we want to take it a little bit further, we could skill up the first one a little bit to increase his attack, but it's not something that's completely required. That's why going past 19 tomes is kind of optional. unless you're a Jameer competitor, you're not likely to notice a huge difference. If you want to take full advantage of the training event that we have going on right now, then the skill levels you need are the ones you see on screen. 3, 4, 5, 3 lets you claim all of the rewards, it lets you get the flowers to up his temple as well, and that total investment is going to be 22 tomes. Over on the 8 cents, this is a PvP unit, so he's going to need all the help we can give him in order to make him effective. We're going to open all the areas. In Alpha, we're going to find physical attack and speed. In Beta, we're going to get HP and a little bit of status resistance. In Gamma, we have physical attack and lifesteal, which is pretty useful because the damage from the bleed is so high that he can heal himself full. And lastly, we have Delta, which for every saint gives us HP and resistance to both types of damage. His temple, like we mentioned, is brand new. It's called Eternal Protection, so he's going to start at a disadvantage compared to other units. Because he's here alone, because the temple is new, we're going to have it at a very low level, so the buffs that he gets here are not really very significant. Remember that you can get the flowers to take this to at least tier 2 and open all the 8 cents with the training event. Over on his Cosmo, we really have 3 options. We can go full attack to try to get the most damage that we can out of that bleed. We can go full tank to use him basically just as a support to decrease the enemy's damage, decrease their healing, and then slowly take care of them. Or we can go for somewhere in the middle, which is what I've tried to do. If we're going attack, P-Stone is a great option, and it's especially great because it's not used a lot. We probably have a lot of P-Stones just sitting here that nobody uses. Albafica is a great candidate because all he needs is physical attack. For the bleed damage, defense ignore doesn't matter, crit doesn't matter, it's all based on physical attack. If you're gonna go tank, then White Mist would be your option here under the red. In the Lunar, he has one that I think fits him really well right now, that is Morning Glory. Unfortunately, I don't have any of good quality, so I have to go with the second choice, which is gonna be Spirit or the Cross. Right, Spirit protects us from cosmic damage, the Cross protects us from physical damage. Under the blue, there's really only one thing that gives us physical attack, which is Crystal Fire, but the physical defense Pierce is wasted, and he really doesn't need that much speed either. Here then, I've gone with some tankiness, with Fruits of Strife, which is going to give us 10% HP and resistance, again, to both types of damage. Moving on to the Legendary, this is where it gets really interesting for him because he has that basic AoE. That means he can apply a bunch of different effects depending on what we equip. One of the primary choices is going to be Hyacinth to further decrease the enemy's attack. Between the effect of his poison and Hyacinth, the enemy is going to be basically unable to kill us. I'm not a huge fan of stretching fights, so I haven't gone for that option. Obviously, I went for something that maximizes not only his damage, but the damage from the rest of the team. With Blood Elf and Double Turn, we can break the enemy's defense down to pretty much 0. In just a couple of rounds, they're going to be very vulnerable to our damage, which is important if the enemy is using Albafika as well. If he's reducing our damage, but we can increase it with the effect of Blood Elf, then it doesn't quite balance out, but it helps. Another option for those of you that do like to stretch fights and do like to fight a little more defensively is Fuchsia. You can get an HP main stat, you can also decrease the damage that fast units do to you. Just make sure that you don't equip a lot of speed because you want to be as slow as possible. In sub-attributes, the primary ones we're going to be looking for are physical attack. We also want some HP and defense to increase our chances of surviving, and lifesteal is not horrible on him because of the massive damage that the bleed can do. The last one is going to be speed, but only as much as we need to be in the correct turn order. If we're using him, for example, with Divine Shiryu, that is especially important that he's in the right spot. We don't want him too fast to be out of the protection on the right side or too slow to be out of the protection on the left. Speaking of protection, that's the first thing that we can mention here under teams because he's in that new temple and compared to other units, he's going to be quite squishy. He benefits a lot from protection even though he has 2 lives. One of his best friends is going to be Divine Shiryu because Albafika doesn't need energy, that leaves everything for Shiryu, and we can also combine him with Hashun, not only for the protection from the healing and his new shield, but also because of the double turn. He attacks with basics, so the energy penalty that Hashun gives us with the double turn doesn't affect him at all. On the subject of double turns, he is also going to be combined a lot with Artemis, simply because he can do basics. That's actually all he can do is basics, so he goes well with Brilliance. And he also combines quite well with Bleed Team because he has a bleed mechanic of his own. You can use him with Divine Doko. Once Albafika applies the 5 bleeds on the entire enemy team, Doko can then use his AoE and explode them every turn. If you combine it with Shura Sapuri for double turns, that can be even stronger, but it's not required. You can use just Doko and Albafika. Lastly, we have some other debuffers that can combine decently well with him to decrease the enemy's attack even more. I've been using him with Krishna, who is a character that I really like, but we don't really ever see a chance for him to shine. We've actually been using him in Galactic Duel and Legendary and winning fights. He can also work with Shijima, with the regular Shaka, anything that can debuff the enemy. On top of Albafika's debuffs will be useful. You can also pair him with Lune and spread not only poison, not only bleed, but also the burn or whatever the heck it's called. Lastly, to speak a little bit about the future, even though that's something that we don't do a lot of in this channel, Albafika stretches fights. We know that Persephone is coming in the future and she's another unit designed to stretch fights. This means means that characters that benefit from getting to round 3 or round 4 or whatever may be coming back strongly. That's going to include Hades. It's also going to include Mew, who got his rebirth but hasn't really been very effective because he takes just as long to evolve. If the fights are not going 3-4 rounds every time, then he could be very useful. Albafica's weaknesses in the game are unfortunately going to be a few. The first one, he is not an incredible attacker. Until he gets to the 5 stacks of poison and then turns them into bleed, his damage is going to be minimal. That means that at the very least, he has to make it to round 3 to be effective. Secondly, the cost of taking him to levels where we can trust his abilities 100%. Like we already mentioned, the minimum to get 100% on everything is going to be 19 tomes. For a character who's basically just a support debuffer, that is a pretty high ask. In weaknesses, we also have units that can cleanse some of the effects. We're going to find Arayashiki, who I can never find on the screen. Here he is. Arayashiki cannot cleanse the poisons, the new effect, but he can cleanse the bleed. If we also happen to equip Albafica with a debuffing Cosmo like Hyacinth or Blood Elf, then Arayashiki is going to be cleansing those as well, getting a bunch of turns, getting a bunch of buffs. And if Pandora, the one that sings, this one is around, no, this is the wrong one. If this one is around, then she's going to be healing constantly. Another weakness is reset. Artemis can take him back to the beginning of the fight, get rid of the bleeds, get rid of all of the effects, and he can also be executed. And that includes 4 different characters that can prevent revive. There's going to be Athena with her execution. There's Milo from the exclamation, who can do it for just 2 energy. There's also Shijima, which we kind of forget he can execute with his doors. And the last unit that we've gotten is Shurasapuri. His skill costs 3 energy, but it can also prevent revive, or at the very least, put the debuff that prevents revive later. Going back to the exclamation, we have another weakness for Albafica here because Ayoria can paralyze him. And since Albafica only has basics, then this cancels his turn completely. Thanatos is also pretty useful because Albafica does everything AoE. Every single one of Albafica's basics is going to charge about 1/3 of Thanatos' bar. The only positive is that Albafica is also going to be reducing his damage, so it shouldn't hurt as much as usual. And I think that's it. He's really not the most complicated saint. What we're going to do is see a demonstration. We're going to see 2 different fights. One was extremely violent. I actually don't think he did much at all in that fight. It was more the rest of the team that carried it. And then we're going to see a slower fight where he really gets the chance to shine. I don't need cannon. Oh my. What the shit is all this, dude? We're gonna ban double ice, okay? We don't want none of that. And I'm gonna ban, holy mother of God. I'm gonna ban cannon, because I'm not gonna use them. I don't need energy, actually. We can go 1 protection. Nah, ain't nobody need protection. We ain't nobody need protection. We got this, bro. We got this. Okay? Believe. Believe. Just believe, okay? Regular Milo on the other side. Yeah, regular Milo and legendary. Let's go. I like it. I like this guy's style. I like this guy's style. Okay. I have 2 more energy here, so I can actually do this. Okay, I can do this. We're gonna hide Orphe for now, okay? We're gonna give him buff. We're gonna go AoE, so this is gonna bring the damage down even more. So we already reduced damage with Krishna. We're gonna reduce damage even more. Now the problem is, I don't think Bleed cares about these debuffs. But Thanatos does. Thanatos does. I don't know how much Albafica is gonna shine here, actually, because other than reducing the attack, there's not much for him to do here. Alright, he goes with AoEs right away. Interesting. Is he committing suicide by Thanatos? Oh, he's got a lot of debuffs too, though. I don't... Efra and what the fuck will thank you. I don't know what just happened. Yeah, he reduces healing, he reduces your desire to live, everything. Wow, this was very violent. This was very violent. No, we need another fight. This is too much. Alright. Okay, so we're gonna do... We don't want Pandora, and we don't want... this guy. Oh, there's so many things to ban to be able to play with this stupid team. But we're gonna switch it up after this one, okay? Okay. What was the other team? He's gonna do... Okay, but we banned Pandora. Oh my god, he bans half of my team. Alright, so we're gonna switch it up. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go more classic, okay? We're gonna go more classic. We go double protection for Pisces. Did he ban Thanatos too? No, I banned Thanatos. Oh, crap. Okay, so we go like this, okay? Shiryu Bug. We go. Zero energy. No. I got Athena. I have Athena. Ah, June Saori. Okay. Alright, June Saori. The good thing is we can reduce the healing. Where does Minos move? He moves before my Shiryu. Okay, so we hide Shiryu. Alright. See how we do. This is gonna be a longer fight. Do I need more energy? I guess we can go for this. Yeah, Shiryu's gonna be broken for one more week because developers are on holiday. Alright, so this is gonna be quite a bit longer fight. Saori on height. Oh my god, Saori on height, bro. Okay, well, it is what it is. Let's get this going. So I don't need that much energy anyway. And this guy cleanses the paralysis too. So stupid. He might actually shine. Yes, reducing the damage here. He might actually shine. Problem is I'm not going to be able to use Shiryu, but it's okay. Oh, but this guy's going to cleanse... Arayashiki cleanses... He's going to cleanse the bleeds. He can't cleanse the reduction, but he can cleanse the bleeds. Tenku Haja. Alright, control on Shiryu, probably. Yeah, of course. And he gets it. So now we reduce damage even more. And he has Ares. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Oh, would have been good to have double turn here for Albafika, actually. This is gonna take a while. This is going to take a while, my friends. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, this is gonna suck. Nice Elrond, buenísimo. Oh god. We have to go exclamation damage. We have to go damage. There's no other way. We have to go damage. How are we gonna kill this garbage? And Arayashiki's gonna cleanse the bleed. Oh! Bruto style, yeah, we have to go Bruto style with the exclamation. It's the only way. Saludos, Ariel. Carlos. Shoot those dragons. Okay, that's a good bit of damage from Okay, we're still kind of okay. We can't execute anybody though. Should I use some energy? I have so much energy in this team. Yeah, I'm gonna use some energy, screw it. Alright, but we see the healing is way down. And the enemy Pisces doesn't hurt either. Alright, we go like this. We block healing on this June. Ha! Good bit of damage. That's a good bit of damage. Yes, pretty okay. Pretty okay. Pretty okay. I'm gonna go with this again. Trick Cosmo. Trick Cosmo activation. Yeah, Trick Cosmo activation. Now, the problem is gonna be surviving these Pisces, okay? We gotta survive this Pisces. But Albafica has actually been very useful at reducing the healing from Saori. Let's see. He's considering his options here. Annihilation. Yeah, we're doing Annihilation and Annihilation. Okay, he goes with that. Garbo again. Is he gonna AoE? Finally? Yeah, he finally AoEs. Juna dies from bleed. Now the good thing is my Pisces moves first. Oh, and Ayashiki dies from the bleed as well. Oh no, he dies from the reflect from Shion's shield. Alright, my Pisces moves first. We basic this guy and we have to kill this enemy Pisces somehow. Wait, I'm not moving first? Excuse me, hello? Wow, this is some bullshit. Why did I not move first? Wow, this is some garbaje. This is some actual garbaje. I have to kill this guy. Oh. Goes for Shion, gets it on Albafica, which is okay, because we can come back. But we lose all the damage reduction because he spends the Venom. 51,000, not quite enough. We're gonna kill Saori here. Oh, we kill almost everything! Holy scheisse! Dude. If I do this... If I do this... I think we win, because he can't kill me. Okay, Minos expires from the bleed. This guy almost dies from the bleed, but I can't die. I have Mu Cosmo activated. Look, and he cannot kill us. He cannot kill us with all of the damage reduction we have on him. Wait, do I die? No, I can't die. I have Mu Cosmo active. I have Mu Cosmo active. Please. Victory. Victory! GG Padme, and we never got to use Shiryu, but it was still a GG, lots of damage reduction from Albafica. And that's gonna be it for today, guys. I hope the review is useful. Now, as I promised you, I'm gonna give you my opinion on whether Albafica is worth summoning right now or not. Unfortunately, it's a very difficult question. Albafica, more than a lot of other Saints, is going to depend a lot on how you like to play. I'll use myself as an example, and you know me that I like to play very aggressively, to kill quickly, kind of like in that first fight that you saw. So units that are designed to stretch fights to take us to round 3, 4, 5 are not particularly appealing. Not to say he's not useful. You saw him. He can be incredibly useful. I just don't want to be sitting there for 5 rounds before I win a fight, or lose. On the other hand, if you're a more strategic player and you like having those rounds, you like using characters like Hades, like Mew, that take a while to get going, and if you're also thinking about the future with Persephone, then Albafica is gonna fit right into this new slower meta. So the question really can only be answered by yourself. Is it somebody that you plan on using, that you think you can enjoy? If the answer is yes, then go for him, spend the 19 tomes to get him to an efficient level, but if you don't like stretching fights and you like playing more violently, then definitely not. This is a unit that I'm gonna use for the next couple couple of days, and then I'm probably going to put on the bench and go back to aggressive teams. If you are going to use the summons, please remember that next Monday we'll get the cat. If you go all in now and you don't have a lot of luck and end up spending most of your summons, then you're not going to be able to take full advantage of the cat, which is the most efficient way to get gems in the game. I wish you the best of luck and say goodbye for today. If you haven't already, please remember to hit like, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you don't miss any videos, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye!